Well, hello there, everyone, and welcome back to Chronicles of Power, a podcast dedicated to the world of power, where I review and break down the latest episode in the Powerverse. We are brought to you by Private Listed, your source for all things music, sports, culture, and entertainment. Follow us on the new IG page, Chronicles of Power, on Instagram, like I just said. And then, if you're looking for content about power, where we talk about theories, reviews, interviews, you can find us on YouTube at pvtlstd. I am Keemie, and I'll be your host as we break down the drug-dealing Avengers of the Powerverse. And today, I am so excited to have with us co-writers of the penultimate episode of Force. It is my pleasure to introduce to you two of the top writers in crime, Mr. James Slainmann, and Terri Kopp. Wait, is your name really Kopp?
Yes.
So, say hi, James.
Hi, good to meet you all.
Okay, so we're going to do this the regular old-fashioned way where we try to tell the viewers and the listeners exactly who you are. So we'll start off with Terri Kopp, because wait, the fact that both of your surnames are dealing with this is hilarious to me. Is your last name really Slainmann? Or is that
It's my artist name, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that, James. I didn't know that was your artist name. I didn't know you had a different last name.
Yeah.
Hey, look at me. I'm covering all the truths here.
Wow.
Alrighty. So, Terri, I know a little bit about you, but I don't want to tell people about you. I want you to tell them about yourself, about your background, and actually how you got your start in writing.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I grew up in Massachusetts. I'd always wanted to be a writer, but I somehow ended up in law school. So I went to law school, and I actually practiced law in New York for about 4 years before I broke into television. I was a criminal defense attorney, a public defender in New York. And then a friend of mine started writing for TV, and I wrote a script and broke in. And that was 25 years ago. I've been doing this for 25 years. So, yeah, I've written for a lot of shows. I wrote for Law and Order. I had my own show about public defenders on BET for a hot minute called In Contempt that nobody watched.
Okay.
It was a great show, though.
I'm going to find it. We're going to react.
Yeah, you should find it. They just didn't promote it. It was such a bummer. But yeah, and then I wrote on BMF. I wrote on The Shy. I wrote on For Life, and now I'm on Force. Happy to be.
Oh, so 50 is just dragging you along wherever he goes, I see.
Yes. Everyone was like, friends with 50. I'm like, 50 knows who I am, but he probably is like, Tracy, Tina.
Whatever he's calling you, you're still here. You're still around.
Right.
It's okay. And then James, so I know you were a public defender before, but tell us how you got your started.
Yeah, I got started before I started writing. I was a film composer, so I got my career a little bit in Montreal, did a lot of, short film, indie video games, plays. Some of my tracks ended up on TV shows, commercials. Even one of them ended up on the Story of Science Fiction by James Cameron. So it was really exciting, but it was never enough to pay the bills. So like at one point I was so broke, I ended up working in a funeral home. And I was like, oh, two things are going to happen here. I'm either going to lay in one of those coffins, or I could actually give it a shot and pursue my dreams of becoming a film composer and TV writer in Hollywood. So I was able to make the move here and study. And after my studies, I worked a little bit in the film music world. I got to do an internship for Hans Zimmer Studio, remote control production, which was a great experience. And after that, I moved to Sparks and Shadows, which is the music label of composer Ben McCreary. And they hired me to do some music on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was a great experience. But, it was never going to be enough for me to only express myself with 12 notes of music. So after that, I kept working for a few composers, and I was lucky enough to meet the creator of Power, Courtney Kemp. And when the time came for the spinoff, I got a call from Robert Munich, the creator of the show, So he hired me on season 1 as a writer assistant. It was a great experience. And when Gary took over the show for season 2, he gave me a call back. He loved my script and he promoted me to script coordinator on the show. So that's how I got my first shot of writing an episode on the show with Terri here, which was, so amazing. And it's been such an amazing experience to be on Force, especially for season 2 with Gary Lennon, who's, the best showrunner ever. And the entire room, we're just having, a great time making great shows. So pretty exciting.
You know what I love about interviewing writers? So normally I normally speak to the actors, and I do get to speak to other people behind the scenes, but interviewing the writers lets me see how many different pathways there are to work within the entertainment industry, right? And I think that was one of the biggest effects of the strike, right? And we could still even parlay this even to what's happening right now. There's so many people that work behind the scenes because everybody just thinks of the writer, right? Like everybody knows Courtney Kemp, right? But she's not writing on this show anymore, guys. They actually have a staff of writers. They have a writer's room, and she has always been very forthcoming with there is a process. There are a group of people that are working on this, but I've never heard script coordinator before. I never heard assistant. I've heard staff writer, but I think I like that you can give people who are listening different pathways of how to enter. Now, we spoke to Lamont Edwards a few episodes back on his episode, right? And he told us that, he had a mentor in coming into writing. Did you both also have mentors coming into? I know you said that, Terri, that one of your friends was writing, but what did you do to actually break in?
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't a mentor per se. I mean, I didn't know TV writing was a job. Like, I didn't.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, who knew? I wasn't, I didn't grow up exposed to the business, or I loved television, I loved movies, but I didn't really understand this was a gig. And so her moving back, we went to college together. She moved back to LA, started writing for TV. And I was like, oh, that's a thing. Like, and I got kind of lucky. I wrote a spec NYPD Blue, like a sample episode of NYPD Blue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right. I'm totally dating myself, but I already said I've been doing this for 25 years, so we're good. That show was great, and that was my favorite show. And so I wrote a sample script of that show, and I gave it to my friend. But then I also I have a crazy break into biz story. I wrote a query. You can't send unsolicited scripts to agents, so you can send what's called a query letter, which is like, would you like to read my script? And so I wrote a query letter. I wrote it on legal aid stationery, so I actually wrote a letter, not an email. And I wrote it on legal aid stationery. Like the envelope had the seal on the envelope, the Legal Aid Society. And I wrote a letter, just wasn't really, it was one sentence about my script, and the rest of it was about being a public defender and my crazy clients and wacky judges. And I sent out 40 letters to 40 different agents. I remember I sent them out on a Friday, and Monday I came home, I had like 25 messages on my answer machine. Like, send the script. And then I sent the script, and then I just got a lot of response, and I signed with an agent, and 3 months later I had 3 job offers on shows. Like, it was kind of crazy. But I think it was because I had this experience under my belt, right? I was a public defender. I got an offer on Law and Order practice. And then John Wells, who was running ER at the time, ended up giving me an overall deal with his company. And that was my first gig, which is like completely crazy.
Once you said that you wrote on NYPD Blue, I was like, oh my God, did you work on the practice too? Especially because you're
No, I didn't end up writing on NYPD Blue. I just wrote one script, and like, that's what you can, back in the day, you used to be able to just write a sample of an existing show, and you use that sample of that episode as an example of your work. And so then you can get hired on another show based on that one script. So based on the NYPD Blue script, I got hired into John Wells's company. And I ended up working on a show called Trinity. And then Third Watch was kind of my first really well-known show. And then after a few years, I went to Law and Order and then kind of moved on. But yeah.
Okay. So James, back to you. So there's something that you mentioned earlier where you said that you started in season 1. Now, I am very forthcoming that I wasn't a huge fan of season 1. And there was a lot. I don't have as much negative feedback as everybody else, but the fans did have a lot of negative feedback for season 1. And like, we don't have to pussyfoot around the situation, right? Like, we switched showrunners. We got a new showrunner. We got Gary Lennon back in the building. Things are on target. We hitting marks right now, right? But does it ever become personal in a sense when people don't like your work or they don't like the direction that the show is going and you feel like you need to possibly prove yourself when you're rewriting or starting to write again for a new season?
Yeah, I mean, for season 1, I was not a writer on the show. I was
No, I know.
Yeah. I was a writer assistant, just to make sure that's clear. So, I was able to be part of the process, took notes all day long, because that's what we do as writer assistant. And so for me, it was just a great experience. Now, the way that, the show came out after and the reactions fans, that totally out of my control. So I really don't take it personal, but I was really excited to get back in the room for season 2 and, especially getting to pitch ideas, because Gary Lennon was amazing. He let me pitch ideas and characters and themes, all this kind of good stuff in the room for season 2. So I was excited to show the fans like what this show can be, because I knew what this show could be. And especially with this amazing group of writers. I mean, you heard Terri's story. She's one of the best in the business. She wrote some of the best episodes of BMF. So I was like, this is gonna rock.
Oh no, I know who title was.
Fans. Yeah. We're gonna show the Power fans what, Tommy can do, what this show is really about. So I'm so, now I'm so proud of season 2 so far, and I cannot wait for the fans to see the finale.
Me too. So, I should have said this prior, but by the time this airs, they're going to see the finale. So we're fine. So no spoilers. But then I'll ask this then. So I'll ask this as a follow-up question, and anyone can answer. Are there times when, like, say for instance, you're in the writer's room, because I know it's a collective, right? It's not just one person working on it. But are there times where you feel like you have to push back against your fellow writers if something seems out of scope for the character? Like if it doesn't necessarily fit with something that they would do? If you need an example, I'll give you some.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good functioning, healthy writer's room. People are debating that stuff all the time, right? Like everybody's got a point of view and everybody's got an opinion, and there's got to be someone who makes the decision at the end of the day. But yeah, we disagree all the time. I don't think she would do that. I don't think he would do that.
Terri?
Right? And
all right. Hold on, Terri. You froze for a little bit. We didn't hear you. Can you restate?
Yeah, I was going to say we have disagreements all the time. In a healthy, functioning writer's room, we argue and debate and disagree, and people will say, I don't think that character would do that or say that, and we air all that out, and then ultimately, somebody makes a decision. Usually Gary, if it's really truly no one's agreeing, Gary will make the decision.
Okay, gotcha. Now, have you ever worked with someone like Stacey Marks? Like, have you come across someone who was like that?
Yeah,
are you real from experience here?
Yeah. I mean, I actually worked at the U.S. Attorney's Office as a paralegal before I went to law school, and I worked with some really cool people. This character is not based on Loretta Lynch, but I worked with Loretta Lynch, who's our Attorney General.
Yes, no, I know.
Yeah, her friend. But it's not based on her per se, but definitely. I brought a lot of my experience in the U.S. Attorney's Office to that character for sure.
Okay, so for all of you who are down Stacey's back, blame Terri. This is where we get it. Okay, James, I have a question for you about Mireya. So, and this is where we'll start talking about like more of the characters in the show. How did you, as a writer, rationalize Mireya's decision to not protect her brother, but to protect Tommy and run back to him and tell him that, her brother is essentially after him?
Love that question, because I feel we've seen that, before in the Power universe. For sure, if we go back to Angela and Ghost, why did she make all this move for Ghost? So I feel here that Mireya was in a similar situation where she's falling for Tommy and she's just following her heart. So I feel that really when we wrote that scene and we approached the episode in that way, we were like, what would we do if we were in this situation, but what would Mireya do? And we came to the conclusion that, she loves Tommy more than the brother, especially her brother has been really difficult. He broke the hands of her former boyfriend. So she knows that it's always going to be a complicated relationship with her brother, where here, she's falling for Tommy. So I think that justifies it.
Okay, so here's my pushback on that, right? I love that you brought the parallel between Ghost and Angela, because I was like, okay, where have we seen this before? And I said, okay, Ghost and Angela. But Ghost and Angela makes sense for her to choose Ghost over her career, right? Because this was her high school sweetheart. He's broken up his marriage for her. But Mireya just met Tommy 3 weeks ago. Why is it that she's using Tommy as an escape route from the grasp of her brother, or is it something else?
I think she was always gonna have to make that choice. Like, that's definitely what we were writing, was she was gonna have to make that choice. We can debate whether we set it up well enough, whether you buy it, but I think the idea was that Mireya was a good girl and that we were gonna kind of track her switching over to the dark side and kind of switching over to Tommy and signing up for this life, because in the beginning of the season, she's like, I don't fuck with people who fuck with my brother, right? Like, you're going to be dead soon. Like, she didn't want to be in this life at all. And she was going to fall in love with Tommy and make that choice. So that's what we were going for. Maybe we didn't sell it. Maybe you're not buying what we sold, but that's what we were going for.
Okay. So then, is it necessary for Tommy to have a love interest? Because we've seen how it has always played out for him, right? But the way how I rationalize Tommy in my brain when I'm watching it, just so that it makes sense to me, is like, okay, he has always looked for the love of his mother, but his mom has been in and out and battling with addiction. And him trying to find love or family, is that the reason why he finds attachment to certain women, because of his need for family?
Yeah, I mean, James can talk to this too. I don't know how much you guys talked about it in season 1, but we talked a lot about, like, what does Tommy want emotionally, right? Like, who is this character and what is he ultimately after? And we decided he really wants family. Like, that is, if you asked him underneath it all, what do you really want? He wants love and he wants family. And he's making bad decisions and bad choices, and it's not going his way, and it keeps bugging up, but like, that's what he wants. So yeah, we felt like we needed him to, and we have an answer to that question for the series, right? We know where this is going to go, but that's the story we're trying to tell, is this guy who's trying to find family.
That brings it home for me. Once I say, okay, well, they have a question in mind and they're going to try to answer it for us. But we all know what happens when Tommy tries to find family, and then when he tries to keep the family together, it just keeps getting more tattered as time goes by. So that doesn't really bode well for the end of the season for us. But in terms of family, I know that we have another set of brothers on the show besides Tommy and his half brother. We have the Sampson brothers. Now, anyone can answer this. Is it necessary for the Sampson brothers to be a united front in Chicago. So in order for all of this to work, right, at the beginning of the season where you're writing this, you're like, okay, well, they're divided right now. But in order for all of this to come together, we need them to be back on the same accord. Is that necessary moving forward?
James, do you want to answer?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, in a way, because there's also Shanti in there, and Shanti is still.
Oh, don't worry, we're gonna get to her.
Yeah. She's still not down. Yeah, she's still not down with Diamond. Especially in our episode where Janar's not sure anymore about his brother. So I think Janar's not sure yet what's gonna happen with his relationship with his brother. It's very complicated. I mean, there's a lot of history there, and we've seen this season Jannar had an amazing arc to make his way back to his brother, especially after their father died. So we'll see what happened with these two. I think it's interesting where they're going.
Yeah, there was something that Jannar did in this episode that I really liked, and it felt like real life, where he found out what happened with Leon. He knew that his brother was developing a relationship with this little boy, and he went to go check on him. He says, I'm just here as your brother. And I was like, oh my God, I'm glad that they put that in, because before it kind of just seemed like they were just strangers drifting in the wind. Like we didn't see any connective tissue with them. We didn't meet their parents last season, but this season we did meet their father. And then we actually get to see a tender moment between them, and not just one berating the other. We actually get to see like, hey, I care about you. Nobody didn't have to send me to check on you. Tommy didn't send me here. You're my brother. I want to see if you're okay. And I think that I like the idea of them being back together. But y'all kind of threw a little wrench in the plan with Shanti. So now we got to worry about her breaking them apart. Like, why? Why can't Shanti see that it's okay for them to work together? Is it just the problem with Tommy, or does she really want to take, like, what is her motivations is what I should ask you, so that it doesn't seem very spoilery. What's Shanti's motivations throughout all of this?
I think she wants the throne, ultimately.
Oh boy. Oh boy. You have one little area and you want the throne? Oh my God.
I mean, we're definitely trying to create a character in Shanti who is going to be a good antagonist and is going to be a player and somebody who's capable of playing in this world and taking this on and standing on her own 2 feet. Like, we want is that character. So,
okay, all right. I'm gonna leave Shanti alone, because I was reading comments last week, not this episode, not when episode 9 aired, but when episode 8 aired, and they were waiting for 9 to air. They was like, I bet you Janard is gonna kill Shanti. I'm like, already? They're still having sex, guys. They're not there yet. I don't think. She didn't lay out her plan yet. She didn't say, we're going to take over and I'm going to kill your brother. None of that happened yet. He hasn't even been given the choice. He doesn't have no push to kill her yet. I'm like, oh my gosh, this poor girl. She didn't even do nothing wrong yet. She just wanted to help her man get out of the addiction, stand him on his own 2 feet. And now they're trying to kill her already. But speaking of killing people, right? Our poor abuela met her demise, and it was just episode episode 8, where she's at the table with Che, and she's saying, be careful with Nunez, because if he doesn't feel like he's involved, then he's not going to be loyal to you. And before the ink could dry, before she even got up out her seat, they already planted a bomb in her car. So I guess my question here is, why was it necessary to kill Abuela, or to kill Miguel's grandmother? I get that she is supposed to be the cornerstone or the foundation for the family, but couldn't they have done something else to get to him? Anybody?
I think, yeah, I think that, yeah, I think the most important thing here is that, we didn't kill her, Mirkovic and Nunez did. And Mirkovic was not going to stop coming after Miguel. So, especially with getting cut off from the business with Che. So, it's really, now he's coming for his family. So, Miguel, that's why, Che allowed Miguel to unleash and go after Mirkovic with the shooting at the restaurant. So, yeah, I mean, the war was going to always escalate to that point where it becomes so personal for Miguel.
We had a lot of disagreement about this in the room. There were people who did not want to kill Abuela. I was one of them.
This is why I bang with Terri. She value.
Nope, I don't think James was a killer either. I mean, but the truth is, we knew we needed to pit. Mirkovic needed to strike back. Someone had to die, and we literally were like, well, could it be this person? Could it be this person? Could it be this person? And we kept coming back to Abuela, and I was like, no, we can't kill Abuela. But it was the logical choice when we debated it in the room. So sometimes that just happens. And we lost. Oh, there you're back.
No, I'm here.
Yeah, sometimes that just happens. Like, you go, oh, it's her number's up because we keep coming back to her as the one who's got to go.
Oh gosh. And the thing with her, like how like what we say, there are always parallels within the Power universe. There's always like a guiding force behind the crime boss or behind the person. So like, say for instance with Ghost, he has Tasha. People won't admit it, but like Tasha was really the person that was the driving force behind all of this. And I know we're gonna get a lot of arguments about that because remember, when Tariq says that his mother was the brains of the operation, like she kept the whole operation moving, people lost their mind when he said that. But I'm like, she did. When he went to prison, she kept everything running. She made sure his school was paid for. She made sure his defense was paid for. Everything. She kept everything running, even though he hid a lot of things from her. Same thing with Tommy. Tommy has Kate in his background, and he can't get rid of her, even though he gives her drugs. He pushes her away. He argues with her, but there's still that person lingering. And Tariq too. Tariq still has his mother, but if we're being honest, he has Monet too. Monet is like his driving force. And I was like, well, Dad, what does this mean for Miguel going forward if he doesn't have this person to kind of give him a heads up about how to maneuver in things? And then it made me wonder. I was like, okay, well, is this just to weaken him from a writer's standpoint so that we can bring in somebody else or possibly make him stronger or make him have to prove himself? James?
I'll see.
Now we'll see. Come on. Okay. All right. Are we underestimating Miguel? We'll see. All right. Okay. So let's get to the big stuff. Why does Tommy trust Vic? Because it doesn't make sense to me at all. I tried to make it make sense, but it doesn't.
I mean, I think that we can agree here. It's something very dark, but I think that, the patricide aspect for Tommy is very strong, and he didn't like Walter at all. So the fact that Vic took care of Walter, it works, it works for Tommy. So then when they got to finally, get together and he offered them North, Tommy is in full expansion. He wants to take over Chicago. And then when Vic killed Vargas for Tommy, it just, really made sense that this guy is with me and, we're going to do this together. So, yeah, I think it was a big surprise for Tommy at the end of the episode to reveal that Vic is the snitch.
Yeah, I think I think Tommy was losing his marbles a little bit, because in what we know of Tommy, he's never really trusting. Well, he trusts ghosts, and he always got tricked in the end. Always got tricked. But here's how I thought. I was like, okay, Tommy, he killed his dad. And I heard Tommy say, he was like, well, he killed his dad. Can't be that. Because I killed my dad. And my dad was snitching too. But then he says, but he killed Vargas. He uses that. Like, he used the federal agent. He killed a federal agent in front of me. I'm like, y'all killed a lot of people. That didn't mean that you didn't do the crime. So then now when he finds out that it is Vic, and am I reading too much into this, or did he really suspect that it was going to be Shanti, or was he hoping for it to be Shanti? Or was he still hoping for it to be Jannard?
I think he was hoping it was Jannard, yeah. I think he had a blind spot, right? Like, I think he thought Jannard, he was focused on Jannard. And sometimes when you think you know the answer, the real answer is like staring you in the face, and you're like, nah, that's not it. It's this, right? And so that's the way I kind of see it.
Yeah, the only reason why I thought the Shanti thing was because, like, he said, I have a phone especially for you. Right? Special one just for you. And then, like, when they were going through the phone records, he was like, so wait, it's not the Shanti number? Like, he even asked it twice. Like, so it's not that one, right? Like, no, it's this one. Yeah. And the look of disappointment on his face when he saw it was Vic. So now I'm like, okay, is Tommy in ghost mode in terms of being pragmatic and being clever and using people to his advantage, or being a true sociopath? So is he channeling old ghost moves at this point?
I think so, in a way. Did you want to answer that?
No, I said, we'll see.
She said, we'll see. You keep going, James. She said, we'll see. You keep going, sir.
I think it's not what it is.
Keemie be like, let me mute this bitch. James, keep going.
James, next time it's just going to be me and you, okay? Just me and you. Terri has been doing this for too long. She's not going to get tricked up. Okay, let me set it up so that this way it doesn't seem like I'm trying to give anything away. The reason why I thought he was going into Ghost's bag, so to speak, was because he doesn't do the Tommy thing in this moment. He sits, he waits, he watches. And that's what we've known Ghost to do. And Tommy has normally been the one to jump out of the bushes and just kill. Look at what he did with Ruiz. Look at what he did with his dad. Look at what he did with, what's his name? Spot. The one with the glasses that he killed in the last season. Oh my gosh. I'm drawing a blank. Spanky. So once he found out that you're a snitch, it didn't matter that Ruiz was trying to get him to shut up. It didn't matter that Teresi was not snitching on him. And Spanky was an actual snitch. He actual snitch. And he shot him broad daylight. So he didn't do that to Vic. So he has to be pulling from something here. Am I on the right track? Keep in mind.
Yeah.
And people will see this. Episode 10 will have aired. So you're okay.
Well, I think here that it's much bigger than Ghost. I feel like Tommy learned from everybody back in Power, from Kanan as well, and even from Jason, from Lobos. So we're really seeing Tommy here being his own person. So I don't think we can predict what he's going to do, or like he's pulling an exactly Ghost move. I think he's learning from everybody, even from Angela, from Tasha. And yeah, I think it's very exciting what's going to happen with Tommy here.
We did talk too about like character change for Tommy, right? Like, you know, this is, and I don't think he gives anything away about 10 to say like, yeah, he is making a different move here, like a non-Tommy move. And we talked about that in the room. Like, Ghost used to say to Tommy, you got to think, right? And so, you know, how are we going to see Tommy start to change over the course of the season? And as a character, you don't want to just keep him in the same place, right? So I think he is going to learn, okay, let me make some different moves and see how I can maybe use this to my advantage.
I like that answer. See, we don't always have to say let's see. Okay. All right. So let's go through some other people. I do want to talk about DeFranco a little bit because people are convinced that he's not what he appears to be. And I promise you guys, there are good people in the world, even in the Powerverse. So I think the question that people have, well, what they're battling with internally is, could this guy really be this legit? Whereas he'll even offer up himself to the defense because his wife and co-worker at this point is going the Sax route on trying to get the bad guy. Is he truly the person wearing the white hat here? Or are we not looking at it the right way?
He is now. Definitely now. Yeah, that it's very intentional that he's the white hat.
Oh boy. All right. I didn't want that answer because now that I know he's wearing the white hat, we know that white hats don't last very long. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens with him. Okay. So now we move on from DeFranco and the other people in the office. Is there anyone that's ever going to rein Stacy in a little bit? Does she have that much power over everyone else, whereas they can't say that's not appropriate? Besides her husband, like he has a different dynamic with her, right? Because they get to talk one-on-one. Is there anyone in the room in terms of hierarchy or just in terms of the characters themselves who should be talking to her, telling her, like, we cannot do that. This is not the appropriate way. Is there someone that we should be looking at in that room to do it? Because I thought it would be Sang, but it's not him because she shuts him down at every turn. But who could it be if it's not the FBI? Because Vargas didn't even stop her. No one.
I'll let Terry answer.
That's a season 3 question.
Is it now? Okay, how far along does it work out?
I know the answer to that question. Does that play out in 210? Nope. That's season 3.
Okay. Alrighty.
We're underwriting season 3 right now, so.
Well, how many episodes did you guys have? Because the last time I checked, they said you had like 7 episodes in the bag. Are we almost done?
We have 5 scripts written, 7 outlines written. So out of 10, yeah. I mean, that was before the strike. So
okay,
yeah.
And have you guys started back already, or no, not yet?
Not yet.
Oh man. Okay. Okay. So then
we have the whole season mapped out, so we know where we're going next season. All right.
Alrighty. Okay. I'm just trying to get a feel for things to know where I can go. Alrighty. So let's talk about mother-son dynamics, right? And we don't get to see Ghost's parents. We have no clue what happens with his parents. Nothing. We don't know anything about Ghost's backstory besides what Kate has told us or Tommy has told us. You don't know anything about that. But in the live that we did Sunday, where we reviewed the episode with another power content creator, we talked about how it's difficult for some people to extend grace to their parents, especially if they don't have children themselves, and how it's hard for people like Tommy, or maybe even, I would say the Tejada children, but we'll say the Tejada children. We'll say Tommy for right now. Do you think that Tommy is too engulfed in his own trauma to realize that his mother is genuinely trying to make amends with him initially, and then as a result because he's holding on to the trauma that he has, which was inflicted by her, will he ever be able to resolve their relationship or come to a resolution within their relationship rather? I don't want you to think of it as an answer for next season. I want you to think of it as like the character for this season.
I'm pausing because I was gonna let James answer.
Okay.
Yeah, I was still thinking on, I think they have such a complicated relationship, and Tommy didn't want her in Chicago. He knew that she was going to be a problem. So the fact that she comes along and she's trying to make amends, I think he's going with it. But in his mind, he gave her so many chances throughout his life that, she can make all the amends she wants. I don't know if, they can rebuild that trust for him to really trust her and have her in his life. So, I guess we'll have to see what happens with them.
Okay. What do you think about that, Terry?
Yeah, I think look, Kate's an addict, and I don't think Tommy believes her the first time. This is the first time she's ever made amends to him or tried to, right? And he probably really correctly is like, let me see how this goes, because addicts can make amends and then go right back to what they're doing, right? And so, I don't. It's a really good question. Is Tommy even capable of accepting those amends and extending grace to his mother? I don't know. I don't know. I think that's a question we're gonna keep dramatizing and answering throughout the series, because like Tommy's relationship with his mother is kind of the foundation of who he is, right? And so resolving that relationship or clarifying it, like that's going to go to really inform Tommy's character arc in general. So this is everything we're talking about in the room, and you kind of hit the nail on the head.
So I love that we're actually building Kate out. She's been around since the first iteration of Power, and I like that we're getting to know her more.
Actress Patricia.
Oh my gosh! Yes,
It's so like in so good. It was so fun in episode 3 to write that amends scene for her.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. She was gonna slay that,
Yeah. So for her, for Kate, and the actress who plays her does. Sometimes you can't give people enough credit, and I wish that she got more of it. Like I'm glad that we see her a lot more now, and I hate that the strike is still in play. I mean, the strike is in play for good reason, right? But I wish we were able to like showcase her more in terms of her coming on and talking about like her journey. But there's something that Kate is doing, and is this a byproduct of her dealing with the addiction or like trying to get over her addiction? And that is how she has latched on to DMAC. Is that like her crutch?
I believe so. And especially she didn't get to be in JP's life. She didn't get to raise him, and she did a really poor job with Tommy. So I feel like it's her chance. It's her third chance to finally be a good grandmother. And it's so much easier to be a grandparent than a parent. So yeah, she's really using DMAC as like, I'm finally going to have the relationship I always wanted with, my sons. Didn't happen. So here's my third chance with my grandson.
I think, I know you can't answer this, but I think that that's going to backfire on her. Only because of the trajectory of her cleanup path thus far, right? Like, she can't really make amends with Tommy because we don't know if he's, at this point, we don't know if he's accepting of what is actually happening with her and what she's battling with. I do think that this is just me predicting, guys, and you don't have to answer, but I'll get to a question at the end of it. JP, he seems more prone to being the one to extend her grace, especially because of his own interactions with his son and how he wasn't able to be in his life. So if I had to make a guess, I would say, okay, well, he's the one that should be the one to extend her a little grace. Tommy, he's too much of a hothead, and he has too much trauma with her in order to be able to resolve it. But then there's like this little monkey wrench or a little wrench in the middle of it, and it's DMAC. And I wonder, like, how come he's so accepting of her, considering he just met her? Do you think that he's kind of latching on to her because of losing his father and not having a relationship with his mom too?
Yeah.
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 Sorry about
Sure.
that.
For sure. And that's, I can't remember what we've dramatized so far. Was it like, I'm like, is that season 3? Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. That's okay. We're definitely dealing, gonna dramatize that and deal with it. But yeah, I think there's gonna be some back and forth there for sure.
Okay. Alrighty. So, and now D-Mac is back out. He has escaped school to the fact that they said he escaped. But is D-Mac, so we talk, the reason why I keep talking about D-Mac, because I'm like, okay, well, he's latching on, he was, accepting of Kate being his grandmother. He only just met this woman, but now he's having like an affinity to be out in the streets. Does he now, without being spoilery, is he being, like, in his own mind, or how the character is thinking about it, does he now have to make a choice between having a nuclear family or this new made-up family, between that and going back to the streets? Like, does he feel more comfortable there?
Yeah, I think the street, even because he's been on the street for so long that even, with now this new family, oh, he has a grandmother, but he knows she has his issues. I don't think, he's having a good time with her, but for him, the bond is not totally there yet. So, yeah, I feel like, his goal to be on the streets and to be, part of that world with Tommy is more important to him than anything else. And, his twisted relationship with his father is also so hurtful for him. So, he cannot really reach out to his grandmother also in that way. So, yeah, he's in a tough spot.
Okay. So then I'll wrap up with this question, and it's about Diamond. So Diamond is now on a warpath. We have a whole new Diamond on our hands, and I remember when we were speaking to Lamont, he goes, we wanted him to Hulk out, and now Diamond is the first the first black man in history to kill his PO and get off of parole in the same week. So I'm like, all right, we're setting new records. Thank you, Terri and Mr. James. but in the same breath, right? He's upset about what happens to Leon. He tries to come to Gianna to talk to her about, I guess, trying to give her some sort of closure. Like, I'm not really sure what's happening there. And maybe he wanted to see her to make sure that she was okay. Actually, let me ask you, when he brings Leon's stuff that was left at the gym, is he just trying to check on her to see if she's okay? We didn't really get to it because she got emotional and then the husband came. But why did he go there?
I think he was reaching out. I think he still has feelings for her and was reaching out, making some kind of move. I don't think he's dumb enough to think that, given what happened, that she would welcome him with open arms. But I think it was like, let me just test the waters,
Okay. Because I was wondering, I was like, does he want to be a comfort to her?
I think he tried, because also, like, she saw the good part of himself, and I think he's trying to hold on to that. Now that Leon is gone, Gianna is kind of the only one who saw that bright light within him. And same with his PO, saw that for a little bit, but now the PO is gone also. So Gianna's the last person. And now that she's, she can be there for him, that's why he's able to go in dark mode.
Oh, so now we get. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I think Gianna, if there was ever a minute that Diamond was gonna go legit or go straight, right? And we toyed with that in the show, like Gianna represented that, right? Like, could have been a different life for him. And that's just not going to happen for Diamond. We've obviously made that decision, but like, she was going to be the vehicle for that, and that obviously is not going to happen.
Aww. So now he's full dark mode. Okay. So, and we had the picture of them sitting at the breakfast table having breakfast, and now it's no more. Oh man. So now, so then we drown the husband. we drown the husband, and we leave him in water because in Power, water washes away all of the evidence, and we left him in the beach, right? So now we buried the PO, right? We don't. There's no one's. Wait, did they come looking for him? Yes, they did come looking for him, but they're not gonna find him. We left. No, we left. We left. Who did we leave? We left the husband in the water at the beach, and now Gianna is. So now she has to mourn her husband and her son. She doesn't know what happened to him, and now Diamond is just.
Can I just say one inside baseball thing about that drowning scene?
Please.
It makes me so happy because, like, so we sit as writers, and then he drowns him on the beach. And then you show up to the production meeting and it's like, okay, how are we going to shoot this shit? Right? Like, it's really easy to sit in your office and go, and then there's a cart chase, and then, they drown this guy in the lake. And then, like I said, you get to that meeting and you got all these producers going, okay, well, we got to pay for a crane and blah, blah, and this and that and this and that. And James and I remember we showed up on set, we showed up on that beach, and there were cranes and like a hot tub because the actors have to get into the water and then keep warm. Like, there was so much equipment and on that location, and I was like, oh my god, we just wrote the most expensive drowning scene I've ever seen in my life. But it was really great. It was really cool.
Yeah. Wait, was it cold outside that day, or that night?
It was pretty cold. Yeah, right. You shot it at night.
Oh yeah. It was fall in Chicago.
Yeah, it was fall in Chicago. So like, we had heaters in the tents, and like I said, we had a hot tub for the actors to like dip in and out of.
Oh man,
it was crazy. Fun.
And the camera people in wetsuits.
Yeah, everybody in wetsuits, and yeah, the cameras like had to be protected, and yeah, it was great. And stuff you have to put on the beach so that the equipment can move on the beach and just everything.
Yeah. See, and we don't even think of that. We just like, okay, so they're gonna drown him in the beach. And meanwhile, there's like 85 people, 100 people trying to get this all happening. We got stuff going on the sand. We got to roll the stuff on the sand. We got to warn the actors up. We got to try to. Then we also have to show him like this, trying to kill him in the water.
So every time you write, this is every episode of television, you write something, and then there's the negotiation that happens once we figure out how we're going to shoot it. And can you do it like not a drowning? Can you do, like do it?
Can we do it someplace else? Can we choke him to death?
With a car?
Okay. So here's my fun question, and then we can wrap up. So who's your favorite character in the Power? It doesn't have to be from Force, but if it is from Force, it's fine.
Shanti's my favorite right now.
Oh, good. Save her, because they tried to kill her. What about you, James?
I think really because I was part of like creating that character, I think it was Abuelita.
You killed her!
It's my job, unfortunately. But yeah.
Sorry, guys.
I thought she was great. The actress Marlene was fantastic as well. Yeah, we had a great time on set, so I'm going to miss her.
Me too. I'm gonna miss her. She reminds me of my old grandmother. She does. So, James and Terri, it has been a pleasure speaking with you. You have given us so much insight, as much as you possibly could. If you can please tell us how people can find you online, and also if you have anything else coming up that you could possibly talking about.
Oh, thanks so much, Keemie, for having us. What a privilege. I'm at Terri Kopp, TerriKopp, the number 2 IT. So Terri Kopp to it.
Here we go. Any shows coming up for you besides Force?
No, I'm developing some stuff, trying to sell a pitch right now, but
Oh, I forgot. I did have a question for you. What does showrunner in contempt mean? What does that mean?
No,
you said I'm a showrunner in contempt.
Oh, well, In Contempt is the name of the show I created. And then
okay. And that would be funny.
No.
Like I'm a showrunner in contempt. Like in contempt of court.
I'm a contemptuous. No. In Contempt was the name of the legal show. It was about public defenders. That was on BET. It's still on BET Plus. You can find it on BET Plus.
So there we go, guys. We're gonna revamp the show. We're gonna get it
right. Bring it back to layers.
Okay, and James, tell people how they can find you.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Slainmann, and I'm also on Twitter at James Slainmann. And yeah, besides Force, I'm still working on my own projects, still out there looking for reps and looking to be staff, all these good things. So thank you so much for having us today. That was great.
Yeah, no problem. It was a pleasure speaking to you, and thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody.